love young adults. I love God and I love people. And I believe we just had a great season here at the Bridge. We had our very, very, very first ever summer camp, something that's never been done before. And so you're a history maker if you were there. So in 20 years to come, when your kids go to the Bridge summer camp, you can be like, oh, I was at the very, very first one. And so I'm glad that we were all able to establish culture together. Why don't you clap for yourself for establishing culture? And we had a great time at camp. At least I believe that I did. But, you know, how many of you guys know that even leading up to camp was a struggle? I mean, some people were like, oh, I don't know how to feel about camp. Oh, I don't know what this is. Are we going to be playing games all day? Who's going to be there? Am I going to be sleeping in a room sharing with somebody? I don't know what to expect. But we ended up going. But before us going, there were so many feelings, so many emotions. I kind of just want to throw this one over to Melissa. What were your thoughts as soon as you heard that there was a Bridge summer camp? Did you want to go? Did you not want to go? What were your thoughts? Let us in on your life. Let us in on what you were thinking when we mentioned camp. Talk to us.
Honestly, I was excited from the get-go because I grew up going to sleepaway camp. Like Lori and I, we grew up going to camp every year, and this would have been the first year we wouldn't have gone, right? So when we heard that there was going to be a Bridge camp, we're like, no way, because Bridge is lit every single week. So imagine like 24/7 every single day. So I was amped, I was amped from the beginning.
It's amazing. How about you, Ariel? What about you? Tell us a little bit about what you were thinking once you heard that there was camp coming up. Let us in. Be real. Listen. On this panel, let's be honest. Let's be real. All right. Now let us in.
I think I was nervous because the idea of camp to me is bushes and bugs, and I'm not that type of person. But I was open to camp, but also the feeling of not being able to go to my first week of school, starting into the 11th grade. For me, that was like, should I really go to summer camp? But at the end, I knew that God had a plan for me, and there was a reason why I should go. And so when I went, I was wondering, I was like, why am I here? Like, I don't really feel nothing, like, what's going on? And then I remember just after Pastor Bo preached, there was a shift, and I was like, this is why I'm here. This is my reason.
So awesome. Can we clap for them both? I mean, phenomenal. So let's get right into it. I want to get right into it, all right? I know that, we all came here first, as you saw in the vlog, we all came here to church, and everybody was excited. And then we got onto the bus. I heard some weird things about the bus ride or the bus driver. Brandon, tell us about the bus driver. What was going on? Like, I wasn't there, but I want to know what happened on the bus.
So, on the bus, like all of us were turning up. You can see it in the vlogs, right?
Chopping girls on the bus.
Yeah. Not even, we're just singing songs, having fun, doing our thing. And then as we got closer to Iowa, you know how there's that super long trail, right?
Yeah.
And this guy's like, okay, everybody listen up, I'm going to start singing my bus songs. And we're like, what? Like, all right, let him do his thing. So this guy starts singing, and everything that's coming out of his mouth is nonsense, straight nonsense. I remember at one point he said, I just peed, it belongs to me. He wanted us to repeat that. And we're like, yo, chill, bro. But he kept doing, we just went along with it up until we got there.
So what was he, what types of things was he saying, though?
I don't know, I don't know, he was scared, he was peeing a lot. That's all I remember, to be honest.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So were you guys singing along or no?
Oh,
no.
Nah. JJ was, though.
JJ was singing along?
JJ was singing along.
We gotta press JJ. We gotta press it. He was singing along. But I know, okay, so take me on your journey. So you were on the bus. As soon as you got to camp, you pulled up to Camp Iowa. What were your thoughts? What were your thoughts? As soon as you pulled up, you saw the bushes. I don't know about you, but I got there the night before, and there were deers all over the place. And if you know me, I don't really mess with animals too much. I don't mess with, I don't mess with dogs. I don't mess with cats. Don't come to me with animals, don't do that type of stuff. But, what was your first, thought as soon as you got to campgrounds? Take us to that place.
So, obviously when we were on the trail, it took almost 20 minutes before we got there. So I was talking to Josh, I'm like, yo, are we lost? Why is it taking so long just to get to the one spot? And then we finally got there, and you look around and you see okay, there's the place where you guys are staying and the place where the guys are staying, but you just see a lot of space. You didn't see the whole thing at the start. So at first, I wasn't too impressed. I'm not gonna lie. I saw it. I was just like, man, here we go. I don't even know if I got Wi-Fi. I don't know if I got service. I don't know how I'm gonna survive. God help me through this.
So I heard something about the Wi-Fi. I heard that the Wi-Fi password got spread to all y'all, and that's why it was slow for us leaders too, because all y'all had the Wi-Fi. Tell the truth, we're in church now. Tell the truth, we're in church. Facts or not facts? Facts. You guys were the ones making our Wi-Fi slow. May God forgive every single one of you people. So we had Wi-Fi, didn't we?
Yeah.
It was working blessed.
It was
so
blessed.
man's were surviving.
Very true.
Facts.
Facts.
Yeah, facts. All right, bless. So, Cynthia. So when you pulled up to camp, and you saw a bunk bed. I know that you just got married, but you saw a bunk bed, and you saw, it's a plain room kind of thing. You're in this empty space. I know you're a city girl. You're from Brampton. What was going through your mind pulling up to camp, get into your room? What was that like for you?
Honestly, it wasn't bad because I've gone camping before. In Toronto, my church, they've had camp every summer. And our room was blessed compared to what I've experienced.
Whoa.
Yeah, it was blessed. So there was first, I thought there was going to be filled with bugs, spiders. So that's the first thing I looked for. I got in. I looked in the corners because I can't sleep with spiders. I cannot.
So I heard something. I heard that even in Ray and Trey's room, I heard that there was a spider, and Ray was hella scared of this spider. I'm putting you on blast right now. And AP, tell us about the story, because I heard something like that.
So we come in, right? And honestly, it wasn't that bad. We come in, we're settling down. Now I'm about to go take a shower, and I see a big spider. This guy Ray is just a female, so... This guy doesn't like spiders, right? So the second I tell this guy that there's a spider, he's already packing his bags, trying to leave the room, and I just killed it.
But you killed it, though.
Yeah,
you manned up and killed it.
We just killed it.
All right.
Quick.
Some things just gotta go. Ray, you heard that, eh? Just gotta man up and just dust it off, all right? You see it? We'll pray for you, though. So like, the room wasn't too bad, as you were saying.
Oh, no, it was good.
And you were staying with your husband, so you were all right, too.
Yeah, I was chill.
You were safe.
I was safe.
Safe in strong arms. We bless God. Let's pray for some of us. Amen, somebody. All right, so as soon as we got to camp, we got settled in the rooms. I think one of the first things that we had to do was we had to go to dinner. After dinner, we had our very, very, very first session. Now, Melissa, I want you to tell me, what was your perception? What was your first thought of that first pre-service turn-up that we had in that holding room? What did you think about it? Be honest now.
Honestly, I was kind of surprised because I thought, you said you were going to have an evening service. I thought it was going to be like Bridge, right? So we went inside, and Pastor Jamal's on the beat. He's like, he's putting up the atmosphere.
Hey, shout out to Pastor Jamal. I mean, you're going to be watching this at some... Can we give a big shout out to Pastor Jamal, wherever you are? Hey, we love you at the Bridge, man. Pastor Jamal, you're the realest, as you were saying.
Yeah, so I don't know if you guys know this, but Pastor Jamal's a DJ, so it was like really lit, right? And he put on some Drake, he put on everything. So I was really having fun, and I think that I was thinking, okay, so if this is the energy here, how is it going to be inside? So we got inside, the whole room it basically exploded. Like, it was a crazy, yeah.
And it was hot and sweaty inside that room too, wasn't it? But I believe that if it's not hot and sweaty, then God's not in it. I mean, I feel like God moves in the heat, When it's too cold, God, it's difficult. God needs the heat. You gotta be sweaty, you gotta be hot, and then, then you're all opened up, and then God can really do what he wants to do. But I remember, as soon as we opened up doors inside for everybody to come into the hall, I remember that we had an amazing time of worship and praise, and it was super energetic. And I know that we were hitting the GI, dropping bombs on the devil. And by the way, that track is going to be dropping soon, and so. Shout out to Bridge Music, shout out to AP to Don, shout out to Reggie. But Dropping Bombs is going to be dropping real soon, all right? But I remember we hit all those dances, and we had a really, really awesome time. But that night was a night where we really got intimate, and we really just kind of ripped the Band-Aid off, and we went right into what God had to say. And I remember I was in my room just prepping up for that service, just listening to what God had to say to all of you as you guys came into your very, very, very first night at camp. And I believe truly in my heart, that God gave me a word that was just to get right into what we were all going through. I feel like, we all wait until we're super old until we begin serving God with everything. But I really feel that God wanted me just to speak that word over us. But, just from a different person's perspective, from anybody's perspective, what did you guys think about that first sermon, that first night, when, after the worship, once we really just jumped right into the word. What were your thoughts like? I'll throw it over to Brandon first, and I'll throw it over to Ariel. What were your thoughts like for that very first, sermon?
Personally, I think like that service kind of set the tone, for the whole camp. You introduced the message to us, like, why wait? And it kind of like, it hit strong because I remember at one point you were saying like, why wait until your walk with God is dead before you start to try to pick it back up? You know what I mean? Like, whenever you start something, if something stops, like, it's harder to pick it back up when it's already dead compared to where it is at the current moment. You know what I mean? And I took that to heart. I went back to the room. I was talking about it with the guy. It's like, why wait? Why waste time with it? Like, you might as well pick it up. You might as well start something new with God. You might as well pursue it compared to just waiting to, I'll wait after first year. I'll wait after I hit 20. Stuff like that. It's just no point.
Super good. Ariel, pick that up. What did you think? What were your thoughts like?
Going into the first session, I really didn't know what why wait meant. To me, it was very vague, very just no explanation. And so it was just like a whole, like, you just explained to us what why wait meant. And just going into it, I was like, wow. So it's a lot more than just, what are you waiting for to do this? What are you waiting for to do that? It's like, God is waiting for you, but what are you waiting for? He's there waiting for you. Just go after him. You just need to go for it. So, yeah.
Why is it oftentimes difficult, Melissa, to go after God? Yeah, I'll just leave it at that. Why is it difficult, just to leave your comfort zone and just to go after God?
I think that it's because it requires a lot of faith. And you can't see faith. You can't feel faith. There's nobody that can, you can't see faith. You can't feel faith. So you're just kind of stepping out on something you can't.
So you're saying it's difficult to believe God without seeing.
Exactly. Because we're so used to being around other people. So if you go to your friend for a problem, they can give you the validation. They can give you the reassurance. But it's like with God, you really have to search for it. Because God, he wants to give us something that we really want. So it's like he's going to wait for us to truly be desperate for it, for him to give it to us. But we're not patient. We don't want to wait. We're not patient, so we want it immediately. So we don't go into that place of, waiting on him.
That's so good. I find that we're touching on this subject of, fear of the unknown. We're afraid of what we don't even know. We're afraid just to take that step because we don't know what our rep is going to be like. We don't know what our friends are going to think. We don't know what our parents are going to think. We don't know what our siblings are going to think if we enter into a real relationship with who God is. And I feel like as a generation, oftentimes we become so fearful of what we don't even know. Like, we're afraid of going into grade 11 just because we don't know what's in store. I mean, we could hear from different stories of all our older brothers and sisters, but the thing is that you're the one who's walking through that grade. You're the one who's waking up that early to make it to school, to be going through that type of lifestyle. And oftentimes we become so afraid because we don't even know what's ahead of us. And I really find that it's so important and it's so crucial in our walk with God because God's a God where you have to take one step and then he'll meet you halfway. You see, you got to invest something and then he'll honor your investment and meet you halfway. When I was younger, I remember my dad, if we wanted money, if you wanted $10, and back in the day, $10 was so much, we'd have to work for it. We'd have to prove to my dad. We have to be like, hey, Dad, we have to, read a book, and we'd have to write up a report. And in order to get $10, I don't know if you guys have parents like that, where in order to get some money, you got to do something, whether it's chores or whatever it might be. And so my dad was always like that. If you want something, you got to show me what you can do to get it. And that's the same thing with God. In order for us to truly take that step of faith, we have to show something, and then God will honor it as well. We can clap our hands to Jesus because I really feel like he's straightening up some things. Even AP, I'll throw it over to you. We'll do a little detour real quick. I know that you're in the music industry, and I know you've really started off, music at such a young age, but you were doing this type of thing when no one even around you was even getting into producing. You were doing all that type of stuff, and you really had to take a leap of faith. Can you just describe that type of journey, what it was like to do something that no one else was doing at that season? I remember 12 years ago you started doing this. Tell us about that journey, about just being different amongst all your friends.
It was really, honestly, it was hard because when you do something different, right, you're doing something that you're in a boat where nobody is, right? So you feel like a stranger. What they're doing, you're not doing, and you just feel different. But honestly, I just stayed focused, trust in God. I believe that if God has a plan for you, it's going to work out regardless. it's just faith, like Melissa just said, just taking a step in faith. So every day, I just built the gift. I knew that this is what I wanted to do, and I knew I put it in God's hands, right? So every day, just built the gift, built the gift. Like you said, as you invest a little bit, God will put in the rest. So that's how I just stayed focused, and that's how I went through it.
And that's super huge because you said that God has a plan. You know, the thing is that we have to understand that God has a plan. And the thing is that God doesn't have to tell you his plan, but you just have to believe that he has a plan. God has a plan. He wants you to step into things that you've never done before. He wants you to step into a walk with him that you've never known before. And he has a plan. He knows what he's doing, but can you just trust and believe that he knows what he's doing? I really feel like as you get into this new school year that you have to step into a higher level of faith, a higher level of trust. Just trust and believe that God's got you through it all. And I believe that it's such a great test of trust and such a great test of faith to be able to sleep and stay with people that you don't really know outside of church. I mean, getting to that very, very first night at camp where you were spending time staying in an entire room full of ladies, repping Lion King, repping Raptors. You were staying with a bunch of guys, repping Lion King, repping Raptors, and you only really know them from here or, you know, from Snapchat. I mean, it takes a step of faith, too. I kind of want to know, you know, Ariel, what was that first night like in the girls' dorm? Because I know, you know, the guys, we turned up. I don't know if there's any guys up in here real quick. Any guys up in here? Any guys up in here? I know that we turned up that first night, but what did you ladies do? We really want to know what ladies do. You know, what did you guys do that first night? Just tell us. I mean, get into it. We want to know, what do girls do?
We didn't do nothing crazy. Like, we didn't turn up. Like, we sat there and we spoke. Like, we talked about why we were here and why we wanted to be there. And so we just talked. Like, we didn't turn up. We had music playing at one point. But that
So what were you talking about? That's what we want to know. Get into what were you talking about? We want to know. Were you talking about the things of God, or were you talking about what were you talking about?
No, I can't lie. It was not the things of God. Like, it was just like a lot of. We were just talking. Like, we were just talking to talk. You know, when you're bored and people just find subjects to talk about. And so we were talking about school and life, and of course boys.
Okay.
And
What were you talking about boys? Like, what were you saying about boys? What were you saying about? No, we want to know. What were you saying about boys? Boys, we want to know what they were saying about us. We want to know.
At the right time, they'll come in your life. You know, it's that like nothing crazy, y'all. Like, just.
All right, sit there. What were you guys really talking about? I mean, we want to know. What were you talking about? I mean, Ariel, she's trying to be all diplomatic, you know, but we want to know what were you.
Girls, I got you. We were just talking about life. We were just talking about life. We were just talking about life, you know. We touched on different things, you know, what life throws at us as females, and that's it. And we just needed to share amongst ourselves.
What are some of the things that life throws at females? We want to know. No, really. No, the thing is, I want, let me be honest, I want 3 or 4 boys, and I want 1 baby girl, all right? And so I need to know from now what my baby girl is going to be dealing with, all right? So what are some things, honestly, in our day and age that ladies go through right now?
Honestly, I would say one thing for sure is just that stigma where girls are considered like weak, like you can't hold your own, you're not strong, like somebody else has to do it for you, someone else has to speak for you. It's like, no, like I'm strong enough to talk for myself, like I can talk for myself, I can stand for myself. I can stand for myself, like I don't need someone coming to fight for me, I can defend myself, of course with God, you know, but like, yeah.
That's huge. I love that. You know, I really believe that out of this ministry, God is raising some females who are firebrand preachers, who are people in positions of power, who are people who are smart, both in the classroom and outside of the classroom. You know, I really believe that God is raising people and females in this ministry who will stand tall and can stand next to any man. And you know, I believe I'm a feminist. I really have a heart for females, and I really believe that God has something great for females in this day and age. And I believe that God is using individuals in the bridge right here to build up females around the world. And so I really feel like, I love what you guys are doing. Can we clap for our female leaders? They're amazing. They're really amazing. Ariel, I want to just touch on this subject a little bit. Going into high school, I know you said you're going into grade 11, is it? What are some of the things that go through your mind as a female, walking those corridors? What are some of the challenges, some of the issues that you think that not just you are facing, but females your age are facing in this season? What are some of the things that you guys are going through? Just maybe one or two.
I feel like not only as a female, but as a black female in a predominantly white school, which I go to, I struggle a lot with identity. I have to know who I am, and I have to represent myself, and not only that, I have to represent my culture. And just to stand out and be able to stand out, not in, oh, she's that ratchet black girl, or she's that black girl, oh, her hair smells,
Be ratchet, though. You got to be able to switch up sometimes. To be a ratchet, then you can be polished. There's nothing wrong with being a ratchet. I just want to clarify that. All right? You got to be able to switch up. I want somebody who's African who can be super Caucasian at the same time. Don't mind me, though. I'm sorry. Continue.
Yeah, for me as a black girl, I know that I struggled a lot with who I am and finding my friend group. And you just find yourself a solid friend group that will drive you in the right direction and make sure that they don't pull you down. That's the thing that I learned. Sometimes it's hard to let go of friends, especially as girls. Girls, we like to gossip a lot, we like to talk about other people a lot, and we like to tear each other down. But it's to find those people that will lift you up in the time that you need, and those people that will just lead you in the right direction. So yeah.
Huge. Can we clap for Ariel? That was awesome. Melissa, I know that you just graduated from Canterbury. You're a writer, and I know that you're now in first year. But I know that some of these issues that Ariel was talking about, these issues just didn't start with her generation, but it started with my generation and generations before mine as well. But I know that you just left this high school setting, and I know that you were somebody who also didn't really care what people said too much because you followed God, even though you didn't really know where he was leading you to. How did you manage to get over some of these identity issues? Because I know that, at Canterbury, I don't think there are that many, I guess, black individuals.
There are none.
So how did you, I really feel like this would help somebody here. How did you stand out, and how did you find yourself within this type of school setting? How did you do so? What are some solutions that you can give to some of us here?
Honestly, for me, I had to learn it the hard way. I had to learn it by associating myself with the wrong people, having people do things to me for me to kind of learn hey, if they're moving that way, you probably shouldn't be around them. So I had to learn the hard way that you just need to find genuine people, real people that wherever you put them in, they're still going to be the same. As Ariel was saying, one of the things that females struggle with a lot is just being real with each other. It's so easy to tear each other down. And when you have certain people that are always there, speaking life into you, encouraging you, you need to hold on to that. For me, what helped me stand out is just finding peace with being by myself. And also just knowing hey, I do want people around me, but I don't need people.
That's so good. That's so good. I love that. Because I feel like right now in our generation, we always have to feel like people need to be so close to us. We always have this desire to have people so close to us. Even when people aren't close to us, we're always on Snapchat. Well, what do my friends do? We're on Instagram. We want to know what people are doing. But I love what you said, that we don't need to have that need for people around us.
You want people around you. You need people around you in the sense that, the Bible says it's not good for man to be alone in that sense. But you shouldn't, depend on them like you should depend on God. You shouldn't, it also says in the Bible that you shouldn't, the one who confides in man is, foolish or whatever. So I think that it's just understanding that although you want people around you, although you want people there helping you get to where you need to be, not to really need them. If they're gone for a day, you should be fine. You should be fine to go somewhere by yourself. You should be fine to do things by yourself. And once you're good with yourself, once you know yourself, then you're not going to really care about what other people tell you because you already know yourself. So whatever anybody's saying, you're not gonna be moved by it.
So are you less cool? And I want to pose this out to you, AP. Are you less cool for deciding to be on your ones, for deciding to just be on your own? Are you less cool, or do you find your relevance, being around people? Do you need people to make you feel cool, or can you still be cool? Can you still be socially relevant, doing things by yourself, as Melissa was saying as well?
I don't think you're less cool. To be honest, I was both. There was times I was by myself, and there was times where I was with the clique. And I didn't see a change, whether I was by myself or when I was with a clique. So it doesn't make you less cool being by yourself. It doesn't make you more cool being in a clique, right? As long as you know yourself, you know where you're going in life, that's all that matters.
Huge. Can we clap our hands real quick for our panel? They're killing it up here. I want us to jump right to Friday morning. I'm sorry, no, was it Friday? We went there Wednesday. Thursday morning, we had something that we threw in called worship workouts. All right? Now, shout out to Phoebes real quick, because Phoebes, she was killing it. I want to know, Brandon, what were your thoughts about worship workouts on Thursday morning? You know, right after that Wednesday night, Thursday morning. What were your thoughts about worship workouts? I mean, I know you came to sessions late, real quick, but it's fine though. We forgive you. You're lucky I didn't make you sing "Oh Canada" in front of everybody. But what were your thoughts about worship workouts on Thursday morning, that very first morning?
I mean, to be honest, we pulled up. Mans were kind of tired. We stayed up late.
What were you late doing? What were you up late doing?
Nah, because we were rapping and stuff, right? Like, you pulled up to our room.
Okay.
Yeah, if you guys didn't know, Prof, Ray, Trey, AJ, everyone pulled up, and we had, a little, rap session going on. You saw it on the vlogs. And then after everybody left, and then we had a nice convo, me and, some of the guys, just talking about life in general. So we were up for a little bit. Yeah, life.
Eh? This theme about life.
Life. So we're up to 4-ish. So, yeah, I got up. I don't know if I got breakfast. Actually, I skipped breakfast that morning because I was too tired, And then I came to service, and, we had the pre-turn up, and then Phoebe starts telling us to do all this stuff, and I'm just looking at her like...
We want to see you do some of the dances. Would you guys like to see Brandon do some of the dances?
Chill. Yo, we don't dance out here.
You're done.
You're done. Yo, Sammy, you're done. I'm looking at you, bro. You're done. But she's doing a whole bunch of stuff, and I'm just not feeling it. But yeah, everyone else doing it. I can't be the only man not doing it, So I had to join in still, and I had to join in, and it was actually good, I got the blood pumping and everything, I woke up because of that, so it was good. It's a good experience.
Awesome. That's great. Thanks, Phoebes. We appreciate you. Wherever you are, we appreciate you. Here she is. Right after the worship workouts, we all made a fool of ourselves. We were all dancing. Right after that, we had some amazing sessions by Ray and Allison. Can we clap for them? They're awesome, too. They really killed it. They spoke on some pertinent issues. But I want to jump right to after their sermons, when we had our life groups, where we were all broken up into small groups, and we had some leaders and such. And I know that Cynthia was a squad leader, and Trey was a squad leader as well. But Ariel, what was that first life group like when you first met after that Thursday morning session? What was that life group like? Whose life group were you in, by the way? Cynthia's? Oh, okay, that's nice. All right. So tell us about that life group. What was that like? What was that setting like? What did you receive from that?
I feel like the life group was just a chill setting. It was after the word, so we were just all relaxed. And it was just talking about why we're here, what do we want, and what we're expecting. We have to have expectations coming to camp, right? And so Pastor C was talking about how we need to know what we came to camp for, and at the end, you needed to know why you were there. And I feel for me, just I didn't know why I was at camp. I wrote down things, but it was hey, whatever, I'm here. But the life group was just the support. I needed that support, that extra okay, Ariel, what do you want to be? Why are you here, and all that.
And I think that's something that we should definitely keep in our ministry as well. Those support groups, those life groups. What do you guys think about that? Well, they're staying. It's okay. They're staying. It's fine. But I really feel that was really where the encounters took place. during the life groups. You know, I know that we're very used to going to encounters and re-encounters, but I really feel like, I don't know, this is me personally, I really feel like there was a deep work that God did in life groups. I don't know, Melissa, was that your experience also in that life group setting? What was your experience like?
Definitely deep work was done because it was like, I feel like some people who maybe were more shy kind of got the opportunity to express themselves once it was in a smaller group, once it was more intimate. And my life group leader was Phoebe, and I liked how she opened up the discussion not only to talk about what we talked about in the previous session, but just anything anybody wanted to share, which I really appreciated. So, and I also liked in the later life groups, we kind of combined things. Like instead of being just Phoebe and Cynthia's group, we did it all together as well. So I really liked it.
That's awesome. AP, from your standpoint as a leader, what was that experience like? Just having like a group of guys, you know, who opened up to you? Because I really feel like we got super intimate in those moments. Just describe, what was that experience like for you as a leader?
It was actually amazing. You got to see a group of guys that they don't usually show each other, but they actually formed a bond and like a brotherhood. So they begin to talk to each other, they begin to open up. And it's like you go there and you see someone you don't usually know or talk to, but we play a game and instantly you guys are friends and instantly you guys are starting to know each other. So it was just amazing just seeing that, and it's like everyone's there to help each other. So it was just
That's so good. I feel like there's so much safety in the bridge. Like, I feel like we should not just throw away this brotherhood or this sisterhood just because we had camp, we spent 4 days together. But I really feel like we should go further and just strengthen up these bonds as a family, as a bridge family. Like, you guys spent times competing against them. You spent time sleeping with them. Some people were probably snoring. Some people were, just being annoying at times. But these are all the things that add to this entire camp experience. And let's not just leave this camp experience just in last week, but let's continue it for a lifetime. You know what I'm saying? I remember where we all really bonded over as well on the Thursday, and that was Two Wars. Two Wars where, unfortunately, squad Lion King won. But I really do believe that they cheated multiple times. Facts. I really believe that they cheated multiple times. I don't know what it is, Passover. You guys cheated so much. But I really feel like, Two Wars, I've seen some people get flown. Like, I think at one moment, I kid you not, at one moment, I was with Shamar, and Shamar was going up against me, and Shamar, he's like this big guy. And I'm like, bro, why aren't you taking pictures at this moment? But he threw his camera away. This man was trying to embarrass me. All of a sudden, he goes after this tube, and I go after the same one. I find myself literally on the ground with the tube, and he's just literally dragging me to him. And I'm like, I'm a pastor. I have way too much dignity. I'm just going to leave it, go back. I'm going to just dust myself up real quick, grab a different tube, and just run back. But Two Wars, I really feel that's where we really bonded. Brandon, we had a strategy. Our strategy didn't work too well for Raptors, but tell us a little bit about your experience during Two Wars.
Two Wars was crazy. We knew, there's a whole bunch of tubes, and, what you want to do, there's this one tube that had, a money, symbol on it. So you want to get that one. If you get that one, it's worth more. And so you're really aiming for that. But you don't really know where it is. So, the main guess is, it's somewhere in the middle, because there's a whole bunch of tubes that were stacked up in the middle. So, before we went and, the game started, I was telling everyone, okay, you know what? We're going to have, 2-3 people. Get in the middle, grab as much as you can, just pull them. And then leave, one person, because, there's always people dropping stuff. There's always people who leave some out. Take those extra ones and put them back. But I don't know. I don't know what happened. I don't know how we lost there.
I think that the enemy was working overtime on us, to be honest. But it's okay, though. We got next year, innit? We got next year. But we had a really great time, a lot of games that really bonded us together. I really feel, and I'll throw this over to Cynthia, I really feel that Thursday night, though, was something that really changed my life forever. I don't know if you remember, Pastor Jamal brought a word, and he was talking about why are we waiting to go for what is already ours. He began to talk about the woman with the issue of blood, where she was tired of waiting. She already she just went after God and went after Jesus with everything that she had. And, I find that oftentimes we do that as Christians, where we feel like we're waiting for somebody to give us a handout instead of actually just taking what is already ours. And so after you began preaching and, the Spirit of God moved so mightily, I got on stage and I was about to close off the service. And for some reason, I just felt a nudge in my spirit. I just felt like God was telling us that he had more for us in that moment. And I really feel like, we had the worship going. I really felt an atmosphere of intimacy in the room. And God did so much in that session. But, Cynthia, what was that session like? I mean, after Pastor Jamal preached, that entire, ministration period, what was that like for you?
It was actually crazy because before that session, I think it was Thursday afternoon during life group, we were just talking about expectations and stuff like that. And then it hit me that I didn't really think about my expectation. In that moment, my expectation for the weekend was I wanted God to move differently. I'm so used to seeing God's power come down so heavily. The place is intense and it's just intense, it's crazy. And I'm like, this weekend, I want God to move softly, very subtle. So come Thursday night, and just to see the way his presence moved, it was crazy because I'm like, God, you answered, you fulfilled my expectation. You answered my prayer. I wanted to see you move differently. And just to see the way he moved, honestly, at some point, I just broke down. I was just amazed by his presence, how nothing needed to be said, nothing needed to be done. Because at some point, worship had ended, and we were just all there on our knees. And I was just amazed, in awe of his presence.
So good. I mean, in that moment, I definitely concur with what you're saying, but I really felt God was doing something new. I don't know, I really felt like God was taking away someone's shame. And I really felt God was just giving us beauty. And, I really felt like God was making us whole. And I really feel in my heart that was the moment where we really experienced God's intimacy. It's one thing to know God and know about God, but it's one thing where God literally comes so close to you, where it almost feels like he's giving you a hug. And I really felt that in that moment, that's what God was doing. I don't know about you, Ariel, but how did you feel about that moment, that Thursday night? I want you to really explain from your standpoint, what did you feel God was doing to you in that moment?
I feel like you, Pastor C, you talked about in the life group how you wanted that God to move in such a subtle way. And going into Thursday night, I was waiting for that subtle movement that she was talking about. And I feel like I just felt the presence of God. I felt it was just so sweet, and it was just as you said, it was like a hug. And it's almost like you felt like there was something missing, but he just filled your heart. And it was just such warmth and just, yeah.
And I find it crazy because, Melissa, even though we came to camp, we're playing all these games, but every single time we met, God honored us with his presence. I want to tell you that it doesn't matter where you are. You could be in your locker room at school. You could be in the classroom. If you call upon God's name, he will meet you. Right. I mean, literally, we were in the middle of nowhere. I was just in shock how we were in a remote area, something called South Frontenac or wherever we were. I don't even know where we were. But we were in the bushes, and God's presence met us there. And I felt like that was so humbling. That was so touching. But what were your thoughts that Thursday night? I really feel like that was a tipping point.
Honestly, for me, that Thursday night was just whoa after whoa. Because
And we actually closed the service off, and we sent everybody to their rooms, but I feel like you crept back in. You were one of those people that creeped back in.
Yeah, I did with Alpha. We stayed. But at first, I already knew it was going to be powerful because if anybody was there that Tuesday service, Pastor O brought down the same word. He read from the same scripture as Pastor Jamal did. I remember texting Phoebe oh my gosh, this is what Pastor O just preached about. But it was crazy because they were talking about two different things but from the same scripture, right? And so I already knew it was going to be crazy because I was like, oh, God, I see what you're doing here. So already Pastor Jamal got so passionate, and I feel like that's one of the keys of just connecting with people, just being passionate about it. He stopped using the mic. He was just yelling out at us. He just wanted us so desperately to realize that everything we've been praying for is already ours. We just have to go for it. And then after that, when you think the service is going to end, you already feel like, oh, that was really cool. Then we go into a time of worship. And then we go in time of prayer, and then you have people pray for you. Then and it was just layer after layer of just being going deeper with God. I thought I couldn't go deeper, and then something else would happen. And then after that, even after everyone left, there was still time of worship, and it was just I feel like it unlocked a different a different kind of presence during the camp. Because even the next morning, Pastor Boat was intense. And then it was Peaky. And then it was just like...
We can talk about Pastor Boat. Who enjoyed Pastor Boat's ministration on that Friday? I've never seen Pastor Boat minister like that before. I mean, he was so passionate. And I really feel like another tipping point, another moment was when he began to minister and pray over us. I mean, that was a moment. AP talked to us about that moment on Friday morning where Pastor Boat just came. To be honest, I'm going to be honest. I didn't really want God to move that powerfully in the morning. I'm going to be honest. Like, I like my peace in the morning, you know. I'm a peaceful guy. Give me a little tea. Let me just sing Kumbaya and, like, let's keep this moving in the morning. But this man came with some fire. And it was scary. Like it was too crazy. But talks about that Friday morning.
Prophet,
I think it was necessary.
Prophet, that's what you called an unexpected fire. Honestly, the guy came in and like what's funny is that he was preaching, he was killing the house, and Ray turns to me and he's like, Trey, the place is about to get crazy. I take my phone out. 10. I'm like, nah, relax, bro. 10 a.m. Stop playing games. Boom, 11 comes. You see the fire come down, like, holy, like, real fire, like.
Chairs moved to the side.
No, man, honestly, no, it was crazy, though, but God moved super crazy, so it was unexpected, though, but it was
huge. I feel like, you know, God really touched us once again from that Thursday night. Even on that Thursday night, you know, someone was even healed of their ankle. Is Josh around? Where is he at? Josh was healed. Come on, Josh, hop up here real quick. Let's clap for him as he comes. All right, take your sweet time. It's okay. We'll wait for you. We'll wait for you. But Josh, talk to us. That Thursday, something happened to you in the daytime, and then please be seated. And something happened to you on the Thursday night. Real quick, just go over what happened exactly.
So that night we had a turn up. I think it was Wednesday. It was Wednesday before we went to play outside, our first game outside. So we're turning up, and then like we started jumping, and it was all these battles. Like Raptors was going off. Lions was going off, and then it just happened at a moment I just jumped, and I landed on my ankle. So my ankle twisted, so, like, I looked at Brendan, I was like, yo, I'm actually done. Like, I can't play.
You're done. You're done. You're done.
I turned to Brendan, I was like, yo, I'm actually done. And I went to Daniel, I was like, yo, Daniel, like I think I can't even walk. And then I went to Olga, they gave me ice, and then I stayed in my room, like, for the whole game, basically. And so after that, the other day, I got up. It was a little bit better. It felt a little bit better because I had ice on the other day. So, like, after that, the night came. I went to service not expecting anything, to be honest. I went there, and I was in the room with Brandon. We're chilling. I was like, yo, to be honest, I just feel like sleeping right now. I don't even feel like going. And, like, the crazy thing is, like, every time, like, you don't expect anything, that's when, like, it really, like, you know, something happens, you know? So, like, I went in. I wasn't expecting anything. We were praying for each other. I was just like, whatever. I'm just going to do this and then go to my room and just sleep. And then the time I was getting out, like, I don't know. I felt hot inside. I was getting out, and I forgot my phone in the gym. So, like, I ran for it. I went to take my phone, and the moment I was coming out, then Prof was like, where's Josh? I need to pray for him for, like, healing. So, like, after that, Prof prayed for me. He prayed for me. Then after that, actually, I was able to jump. I was able to run and do a lot of things. And then, yeah, like God actually moved. And, like, that night, like, I stayed, like, up really late praying. And, yeah, I was just talking with the guys, like, we need to, like, fix stuff and do all that stuff.
So your leg was bust.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, you felt like something hot was burning on the inside of you during that Thursday night service.
Yeah, just the moment, like, I was actually running for my phone, like, the moment I just got in the room, like, I felt.
You felt like there was something for you.
Yeah.
And then you got called back into the service. Your leg was healed instantaneously.
Yes.
You could then run, walk, jump, everything.
Yeah.
After one prayer.
Yes.
Because God was in the room that night.
Yeah.
Come on, y'all clap your hands for Jesus. Because he's working overtime. Thank you so much, Josh. Appreciate you. I want to jump all the way into our very, very, very last session where our pops, our bishop, Dr. Ralph, shout out to you. He began speaking. Oh, we can clap for the man of God. We can honor him. Dad began speaking about something, and Brandon, I want you to pick this up from here. He began speaking about how what can the righteous do if the foundations are destroyed? He was talking about what can your parents do who are righteous if we as their children are not living right, are messed up? What can our parents do? It doesn't matter how many people your parents can lay hands on and they be healed. Doesn't matter what they do. Doesn't matter what good they do. If at the end of the day that you, their children, are messed up, then there's no good testimony. And he began talking to us how we are somebody's foundation. We're somebody's purpose. We can't afford to mess up if we are somebody's purpose. All right, and so Brandon, what was your take on that word that Dad was preaching? Because I think he used you, boy pastor, as a point of contact for that sermon. What was your thoughts like? What were your thoughts like?
I mean, like, that word, he broke it down like crazy. Like, I was sitting there, I was just listening. He brought up the scripture, obviously. What can the righteous do if the foundation isn't set, the foundation is weak? And he kind of like went even further into foundation, and he kind of had like a translation for it. There's a certain word, I forget what it was, but that translation, it could also mean purpose. So what can the righteous do if the purpose is lost, if there's no purpose? And he kind of went in on saying like the righteous, as in parents, as in someone that you look up to, and purpose, that would be whatever your parents protect, and that would be children, us. And he was just talking about, like, you see your parents, like, obviously, like, I'll speak of myself. I see my dad, he works hard every day. He has his own shop. He wakes up in the morning. He goes to work. My mom, she's a nurse. Sometimes she'll wake up 6 a.m. She goes out, works for us all day, and she'll make sure she comes home on time before the kids come back so she can make food, They work really hard, and it's like us as their purpose, you want to make sure that we're correct, too, that we're proper. And Pastor Rob was kind of telling us, like, the devil, all he's trying to do is destroy the purpose. When you mess up the foundation, that's it. If you see a building and you want to destroy it, just go for the foundation, because that thing's going to tip. Go ahead now. That thing's going to tip over.
I feel a preaching anointing coming upon this man right here. Go ahead now.
If you want to go for something, go for the foundation, because that thing's going to tip over and it's going to fall. And the foundation is what holds it together, Like, it really hit me when he was talking about how, like, since we're the foundation, we're kind of the next generation, Like, if your parents or whoever's above you, if they want to leave something on the earth, it's going to go through you. That's how they live on. And, like, it kind of hit me because, me, before even the camp, like, I wasn't even trying to come to the camp. I was just trying to do my own thing. Last weekend before uni started, I was trying to reserve that. I was trying to link the boys. I was trying to do my own thing. When uni started, my mindset, school wasn't even a priority. I was like, nah, you know what? I'm going to turn up. I'm going to have fun. I'm going to enjoy it, But, like, I kind of thought about it. Like, when Pastor Al put it in that way, I was like, wow, you know what? I'm not just living for myself. I can't just do my own thing. Like, I feel like that doesn't even just apply to me. It applies to, like, everyone. Like, it's not just us in this world, We're living for something. We're living for somebody. There's someone above us. We have a reputation to uphold, you know what I mean? So, like, it really hit me hard, and, like, I really thought about that. I'm like, you know what? Like, I'm going to fix up now, I'm going to be more passionate about God. I'm going to start taking things more seriously, because, like, we only have so much on this world, It's not forever. This world's not forever.
See, what did you take away from that word?
What did I take away from it?
For me, it really hit me because I've honestly never heard it, that scripture that, put in that with the revelation behind it, that I'm my parents' purpose. And for me, it just made so much sense, because if I can be very open in this moment, whereas, like, it makes sense to see that the reason why I went through some stuff, the reason why my siblings went through some stuff, and I know that it was meant to hurt my parents, and to see that it actually did hurt my parents. So it's like, okay, the devil is trying to attack us to hurt my parents, because if the foundation is broken, what can the righteous do? And for me, it just put things into perspective, where it's like, okay, like, I know that my prayers need to be different. The way I fast needs to be different. Like, I know my purpose now. I know the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing. I know that this fasting or this prayer that I'm doing or living righteously is because I want to protect their purpose. I want to protect their purpose, because for me in that moment it was more than just, making A's in school. It was more than just living a holy life just to make them happy. It's the spiritual aspect to it, the spiritual things behind it, where it's like for their generation to now be passed on, I need to make sure their purpose is protected.
I want you to turn to your neighbor and tell them that you're somebody's purpose. Turn to your other neighbor and say, you're somebody's foundation. And I want you to take a second really quickly, and I want you to stand on your feet, and I want you to deep what you just said. I want you to understand that you're somebody's purpose. Can we please appreciate our panel? They're phenomenal. May God bless you guys. May God bless you. May God bless you. Jesse, you're somebody's purpose. What that means is that you can't afford to be messing around, because you're somebody's foundation. One day you're going to have children. One day you're going to have sons and daughters. And one day you're going to have to work for them. And it won't make you happy if they're messing up in life, because that is your foundation. The same way how you're going to have children and they're going to be your foundation right now in this moment. You are somebody's purpose. You are somebody's foundation. You are the individuals who your parents are working so hard for. And so you can't afford to mess up. You can't afford to brick. You can't afford to take your walk with God lightly. We're in our fall season right now. This is a perfect season for you to get real with God. Right now, the city boy summer, hot girl summer is over. Amen, somebody. Now we're getting back to what God is calling us to do. We're getting back to the things of God. We're getting back to a real relationship with Him, because we understand that we are somebody's purpose and foundation. I want you to know this, that this ministry is the foundation for Transforming Life Center. If we are destroyed, if we're not taking what we do seriously, if we're not supporting what is going on in this house, then the entire foundation of this ministry is destroyed. I don't know about you, but I'm not going to let that happen. I can't see a ministry this great just fall over and not have longevity because we're not serious about what God has placed in our hands. I want you to know this, that God has a plan for your life, and He has a plan for this ministry. Just because you don't know the plans that God has for you right now in this moment doesn't mean that He doesn't have one. You just got to trust Him and believe Him and have faith. But I want you really quickly, I want you just to close your eyes, and I want you to bow your head, and I want to pray over you, because I really believe that God is doing a deep work in your heart tonight. I want you to know that God wants to use you in this fall season. And I want you to allow God into your life and into your heart. Allow Him into your heart. I want you just to begin to just speak to Him. Just whatever way you know how to. Just say, God, I allow you. Whatever you want to do in my heart, do it. This season, I'm yours. Whatever you want to do with me, just do it. Just do whatever you want. God, I'm not perfect. I know that. I try my best. But God, whatever you want to do, I will be available. I will be reliable. I will be there when you need me. I want you just to pray that out in your heart. God, whatever you want to do in my heart in this season, God, do it. Have your way. Just do it. Whatever you want to do, Lord Jesus.